Hey everyone, welcome back to Clutch Situation. Today I'm going to review the Pentel Graphlet, and in addition, I want to take some opportunities here to talk about some things that I don't like about Pentel as a pencil manufacturer. And that may seem kind of strange to you given that I'm kind of a huge Pentel fan. I think that by far they're my favorite writing utensil manufacturing company, especially for pencils anyway. But that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate a healthy level of criticism every once in a while, and I think that there are some things that if we're going to have an honest conversation about pencils, we need to talk about some aspects of Pentel that actually bother me. And I think that part of the reason why I want to do this right now is that the Pentel Graphlet kind of highlights one of my biggest gripes about Pentel pencils. And so, I'm not trying to make this a downer or anything. I just want to make sure that I'm fair in my analysis because, people are watching the reviews and this is clearly influencing some people's purchase decisions. And so not only do I want to share what I get out of the hobby and what I like and don't like out of manufacturers, but if it can help you too, I'm happy to do that. And so Pentel Graphlet is a graphing pencil for Pentel that has been around for a while, and I got my Pentel Graphlet from Amazon for I think $6.23 at that spectacular, no round numbers Amazon pricing, and I got mine in 0.9 millimeter. 0.9 millimeter is really growing on me recently. When I first started, I was like 0.5 all the way. There's no reason why I want anything other than that. Everything else is crazy. But as I've explored mechanical pencils more and more over time, I've gained an appreciation for the right lead thickness for the right job. And for me as a teacher, what I found is that 0.9 millimeter really helps me when I'm grading. And the reason for that is that, unlike a lot of teachers, rather than grading in pen, I grade in pencil. And since I'm giving detailed feedback while I'm grading, and since I use circling techniques that help students to be aware of what I'm writing and how it's different from their own writing, I honestly don't think that it detracts too much from the readability because students come to know how I assess their work and how I give them feedback. And a thicker pencil does help with that because students can know to look for the thicker pencil marks on their work so that I can communicate to them what they need to work on, what they're doing well, etc. And so 0.9 millimeter lead has grown on me. You'll notice when you look at the Graphlet that it is what we would call a traditional drafting pencil in that it has a fixed lead sleeve, 4 millimeter lead sleeve. It has the styling of a drafting pencil, and it also has a knurled grip that is kind of the hallmark of a drafting pencil because a draftsperson's pencil is supposed to be all about having fine control and being able to do with the writing instrument what you want it to do. Now, I'm not a draftsperson, so feel free to put down in the comments below what you think is important for you as a writing utensil if you actually do drafting. But that's been my impression, that the hallmark of every drafting pencil has been a grip that is going to help the professional to keep a solid grip on what they're doing. This is kind of where, before I launch into the full review that I would normally do, like writing experience, quality features, etc., that I want to spend time talking about one thing that really bothers me about Pentel as a pencil manufacturing company, and that is grips. Mechanism, great. Pocket clips, awesome. They come with some of the best plastic erasers. The Z2-1 comes to mind, of course, for most Pentel drafting pencils. Great eraser. It's a small eraser, but it's a serviceable eraser. It's not made out of a bad compound. It does what it's supposed to do. Styling is also generally very cool, and I'll talk about the styling of the Pentel Graphlet here in a little bit. But Pentel has yet to produce a grip of a pencil that really screams to me, I love this and I enjoy writing with it. That's the one thing for Pentel that has really been a liability for me in terms of my personal preferences. Part of the reason why a lot of pencils make it higher up on my top 10 list, such as rote ring pencils, such as the Retro 51 Hexamatic, for example, is because of the grips. And Pentel doesn't always have the best grips. And so if you look at the the Graphlet, I should say, it looks as it has a standard knurled grip. But folks, I'm telling you, this is not like the knurling that you would expect on most pencils. If we compare it to another pencil of mine that I'm not too crazy about, that I don't know if I'm kind of infamous for not being crazy about, that would be the Graph Gear 1000. Okay, part of the reason why I'm not a fan of the Graph Gear 1000 is because, yes, it's weighty, and I don't like weighty pencils. I want a lighter pencil in my hand, and that's personal preference, of course. But I also really don't like the grip on the Graph Gear 1000. It's like we have to decide between silicone nubs and knurling, and we're not really sure what to do, so we're going to go ahead and throw both of them on there. If you like it, great. Okay, I just don't, and so Pentel grips are kind of a thing for me that I just don't mesh with them. One of the pencils that I'll be reviewing coming up is the Graph Gear 800 series. This is my most recent acquisition from Target. Okay, and for the Pentel Graph Gear 800, which is supposedly a down move from the Graph Gear 1000, I actually like the grip on this one a lot better. It has these silicone nubs that are raised and sticking out, and the grip below it is not knurled, because let's be honest, the knurling on the grip for the Graph Gear 1000 just isn't very sharp, and I prefer a sharp knurl. And so maybe that's what it comes down to, that I really like a sharp knurl so that I can get a strong grip on my pencils, but neither the Graph Gear 1000 or the Graphlet do it for me. Okay, and so that's my first big issue that I have with the Pentel Graphlet, is that it features a knurled grip, yet for whatever reason they just can't seem to get the knurling right on these grips. It's just not sharp enough for my tastes. I think the Graph Gear 500 actually does it better. I kind of wish that the Graph Gear 500 grip, which is a sharper knurling, it's a lot more grippy. I wish that this grip came on more Pentel pencils, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, I guess, and so I'm going to have to live with what I have. Let's get back to the Graphlet, though, which is the focus of this review. I'm going to go ahead and run down the normal review that I would do at this stage for a pencil like the Graphlet. I mean, the first thing that really strikes me about the Graphlet is its styling. I really do like the styling on the Graphlet. It's interesting in that it is multi-dimensional. And I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but I'm going to try, okay? So we not only have this knurling on the grip, but we also have this vertical, and I mean vertical from lead sleeve all the way up to the top of the pencil, styling on the rest of the grip that makes up the lead hardness indicator. The lead hardness indicator is in a really interesting place, and I'm thinking about, you know, when I'm twirling a pencil around and I need to check what lead I'm using, it sort of makes sense to me that I would look at the grip of the pencil and be like, oh, HB. Okay, rather than having to look near the top of the pencil or look at the very top of the pencil, which incidentally on the Graphlet, the lead thickness is displayed on the top of the cap for the Graphlet. The Graphlet has a standard Z2-1 eraser. It comes loaded with lots of lead, which is another great feature of Pentel pencils that I really like. Pocket clip is sturdy, it's subdued, it can be removed if you prefer to have pocket clips removed. The top of the top body of the pencil here is plastic, which is how we compromise on costs for a lot of pencils. And I don't know what it is, but just the whole bottom assembly near the lead sleeve of the Graphlet is really interesting and attractive to me. There's this smooth plastic part, and then there is a ribbed plastic part. Let's see if I can bring it up close to the camera so you can sort of see what I'm talking about. So we have the knurling, and we have the smooth and the ribbed plastic part, and then the actual lead sleeve itself. Okay, so I think it's really interesting. You may disagree with me. I like that they've have the color on the cap right here. So yellow is the official Pentel color for 0.9 millimeter. Other colors, of course, are blue for 0.7 millimeter and black for 0.5 millimeter and brown for 0.3 millimeter. And they stick with that color scheme for the Graphlet. For the price, this is a really good deal. I mean, it's not my favorite drafting pencil in the world. Let's go ahead and run down the rating scale on this. So this is the Pentel Graphlet. I've been waiting to review this one for a long time. This is PG 509, and just like on most Pentel mechanical pencils, the last digit, whoops, it would probably be helpful if you could actually see it. Pentel Graphlet PG509. There we go. Okay, with the last digit indicating the lead thickness. Let's run down the rating scale. Writing experience. You know, I'm picky about these grips, friends. I'm going to hit this one with an okay, which, you know, my lowest rating is bad. It's not bad. It's okay, you know. So I'm just not a fan of metal knurling if it's not going to be sharp enough to grip your fingers. And I could understand that for people who use these for a really long period of time, maybe you don't want a really sharp knurling. And so maybe the Graphlet isn't the pencil for me and it's the pencil for you, and that's great. But grip matters to me, and for general writing purposes, I'm not a big fan of the knurling. Now for quality, and I would include the styling on this, I'm going to go with good. Okay, it's nice styling. It has lots. It has pretty sturdy construction. I don't see myself breaking this even if I sat on it. Of course, mine has a little up on the quality in that you're much less likely to break a lead sleeve on a 0.9mm pencil than you are on any other pencil. Features, well, let's be honest, pretty standard. I'm going to give it an OK plus, simply because it has this lead hardness indicator and a decent pocket clip. And, well, at least they went to the trouble of knurling, I suppose, even though it's not the best knurling for my tastes. Cost, this is probably where it really shines. Okay, we would call this one cheap. And we're looking at, like, I think $6.23 USD on US Amazon. I know I have a lot of international viewers, so shout out to all of my international viewers. Thanks for watching. I appreciate that. I know I have lots of viewers in the UK and Canada and Australia and India and Mexico and Brazil, and those are just to name a few. And so thanks for watching, those of you outside the US. It's good to have an international community. And what else? Well, it also has a really good balance for a drafting pencil. I think the balance point is about right in the middle, okay? Which, it depends upon the individual. I prefer to mine to be balanced a little bit more in the middle, more towards the end. So if that's a factor for you, you might want to consider it. The pencil as a whole is very light. So if you were to compare this to, you know, the tank, I guess we could call it the Graph Gear 1000, the Graphlet is significantly lighter. And grip problems aside, the weight of the Graph Gear 1000 has always been its Achilles heel in my mind, because it's really fatiguing to write with, in my opinion. What else? So, highlights. We got the weak knurling. Grip is a little too smooth for my taste. It has a lead hardness indicator. It doesn't run very far as lead hardness indicators go. It goes from 2B to 2H. Okay, and most lead hardness indicators would be a lot more full-featured than that. And so, you know, you may consider that a drawback, especially if you're an artist and you go outside the 2B to 2H range. Wouldn't be the graphing pencil. I'd hate for you to buy it and find out that the lead hardness indicator goes out to levels beyond or not out to the types of lead that you use. Nice balance, unique styling for a drafting pencil, I would say for sure. Really unique barrel and tip shape. The lead thickness indicator on the cap, I suppose, could be useful, although let's be honest, do any of us really store these tip down? That just seems like a huge liability for me. I'm not sure that I do that. And maybe if you have like a ton of these pencils and it's part of your everyday work, especially for 0.9, it wouldn't be a problem. But for people who are collectors, you know, you're just risking bending the tip, I guess. And so there it is, the Pentel Graphlet. It's a pencil that I've been waiting to review for a long time. I decided to get it in 0.9mm because I'm branching out into 0.9mm. It has an interesting array of features, especially for a drafting pencil, especially for a very inexpensive drafting pencil. And so it's not going to make my top 10. It's not even going to make my honorable mentions, but I'm glad that I reviewed it, and I'm glad that it's part of my collection because, of course, Pentel is, despite its fault, my favorite pencil, it's my favorite pencil manufacturer. And so check it out if you're so inclined. It's really cheap on Amazon. You should be able to pick one up really easily. It would be super cheap to get a full set if you are a full set collector. And so keep those things in mind. Feel free to post comments down below, and if you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Lots of cool stuff coming up on the channel, so stay tuned. I have a lot more pencils to review. I have a video that I'm going to do of my honorable mentions, the pencils that do not make my top 10. For those of you who are interested in learning a little bit more about some great pencils that are available without having to watch a bunch of individual videos. So hopefully that helps some viewers out. And then I also have a special pencil that I'm getting ready to review. And so check that out coming up on the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day and have a great night.